Oh my gosh, some of the highest net worth individuals that I know are master networkers. And today we're going to talk about how to not suck at networking. What's up, FlowChat fam, sales centers? Hey, if you've been watching this for the last 5-6 seconds now, you're probably wondering where my glasses went. It's okay, they're in a safe place. And today we're going to talk about some really interesting things. Networking, but how to do this properly, how to feel great about it, how to get a boost of energy and excitement, and growth. More importantly, growth in your business. Networking has changed my life personally. 10 years ago when I came into commerce, I knew nothing about anything. And then I joined like this networking thing, BNI, and I'm supposed to find everyone else's business. But you know what happened? I had my most profitable year. I doubled the next year. I tripled the next year. Networking is powerful. And we have a pro amongst us in our FlowChat fam, and her name is Ashley. Ashley, how's it going?
Hey, Chris, I'm so excited to be here. How you doing?
I like more of the world needs to know Ashley, number one. Number two, our community needs to know more of Ashley because they don't know the origin story of how you and I actually came to meet. And if they hang around long enough, are you open to share that today?
Oh, totally. Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So hang around for that. But before we get there, we've got to start with networking. And Ashley, why do I want to listen to you about networking?
Oh, because I was awful at it. And then I learned how to get out of that. So in the beginning, when I started my career, I had 21 jobs after graduating college. So I could eventually talk intelligently to a lot of different industries. So I was able to connect the dots in that way, but I never got fired, never got let go. It was all mergers and acquisitions and budget cuts. And so what I learned from that aspect was if I could give back to the network that helped me get those jobs, and I can find the value behind the things that I'm saying to them so that way they can actually implement the best networking strategies. I felt like that was the most common thing around my entire network was how do we help you? How do I help you specifically? Well, let me help you get more business. Let me help you find more collaboration opportunities. Let me help you find resources and people. And my love for people genuinely, and being able to kind of match people up off of their personality, create a business that I'm very proud of now.
That's awesome. So that's how you experience and being immersed into a lot of different industry. You have to learn how to connect to a lot of different people, which is the essence of networking. So I mean, there's different aspects of networking.
Yeah.
There's different personalities. There's different like communication styles and learning style. How do you grasp those things? How do you pick up on those quickly? And how do you form quality relationships?
You listen and shut your mouth. That's half.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. Let's listen. Nail it. No. So as we're listening, can you share some examples or stories of how how you've executed on listening well?
Absolutely. So in the very beginning, I was giving presentations to tech roundtables. A few of my buddies had these meetings in these groups, and so they asked me to come and talk about how does tech align with your networking best practices. And so I had a background in technology, so I was able to put those two together and show good, again, best practices and procedures around networking effectively. And a woman came up to me after the presentation. It was a half-an-hour presentation. She came up to me afterwards and she said, "Hey, I actually had a question for you." And she came at me and I saw some meaning behind her eyes. They were of defeat in some way. And she was carrying it pretty well and she was masking it pretty well, but I know those eyes because I've seen those eyes. And that defeat-ness, part of her personality was something that kind of hit me pretty hard, enough for me to recognize it. So what I decided to do is I took her, I was like, "Tell me what's going on." And she said, "Well, I'm thinking," and she was older than me. She's like, "I'm thinking about starting my own business." I was like, "Fantastic. Tell me all about it." "Well, I want to start my own CPA business. However, my kids are out of the house. My husband thinks it's an okay idea. And I already saw the story that's been told to every single woman is you need permission from somebody else that you trust to say that this is a good idea." And so as she was talking, she was rattling off all of her certifications, all of the things that she did. And I'm like, "Ma'am, you are more than qualified than half of the jabronis that are in this room right now." I said, "What would happen if you did nothing? What's the worst that can happen? Who cares? You have 6 months, you have the funds, you have the safety net just in case it doesn't go, the way that you want it to go. But what would happen if you did nothing?" And she looked at me, she's like, "Okay." A year later, she gives me a call back. And now I had forgotten about her because these are the kind of conversations that I have often. No, I'm not saying forgot. I'm saying as soon as she reminded me of our conversation, I didn't recognize the name of the store.
Oh yeah, after that, I have no idea what happened. I just completely forgot about her. And
very important person. No, I had that moment with her, and I realized that I saw that she listened. And so when you give advice like this, or when you have compassion with somebody, it can be challenging to see if they're going to take it, and if they don't, that's okay. So you take it with a grain of salt.
Right.
But all she needed was permission. And so she called me a year later and she goes, I don't know if you remember me. And we started talking. I was like, oh my gosh, yes, Annie, absolutely. How did it go? And then once she reminded that we had a conversation at this place, I'm like, I know exactly who you are. And she goes, thanks to you, I started a business and I've never been happier. She's like, it was 6 months ago and I built it out and I've made more money this year than I've ever had. And so when you network with compassion and when you listen to what's not being said, you're able to open up and provide some kind of value or service to somebody that is not monetary. It is empathetic. And so you have sources, materials, people, perspective. Networking is not just about introducing somebody to somebody else or giving value in a monetary way. It's very much a distribution of knowledge and experience, because at the end of the day, you have no idea what's going to change somebody's perspective and make them go into a different path. So that was one of my favorite stories. And I also have on a list to my left here, when I'm having a bad day, I have about 5 or 6 people that have told me that at some point I had said something to them that shifted their entire life, and now they're going on and making more money they could ever have made because of something that I said. So I hate being credited because it has very little to do with me and me just being aggressive enough, loud enough to be like, you can do this, and I'm going to give you all the resources you need to help you. And so having that list reminds me of like, okay, today's a bad day, but you know what? These 4 people, they needed you and you were there for them. And that's the best gift anybody could give.
So cool. Well, that's an awesome story. Thanks for sharing that one, Ashley. And I mean, that definitely seems to be how you consistently show up. You're consistently listening, and how can I serve? How can I help? And show up in a powerful way like that. So I think it's important to highlight. And before you even start networking, like going to the event, having the conversation, meeting people, here's my business card. If people still have business, I'm just kidding. I know people still have business cards. I haven't used them in a long time, but
I really do.
before you even do any of that,
Yeah,
it's like the essence and like the approach and the perspective that you have on networking has served you well, and it is also in turn served others well. So, and just having a nice conversation here today. So, okay, so that's how you approach it. Let's go more granular. Let's go more specific. We're now that's how you're approaching it. We're at the event now.
Yeah.
Should we go talk to everybody? Should we talk
No.
to 50 people? Should we what's our
I
approach
like
here? What's our
5
plan of
people.
attack?
Right. I like 5 people. So ideally
5.
it's when you go, so now that we're going back in person, what I'm finding the trend is right now is that these smaller groups that have been built over the pandemic, where they would meet every week, right? So you would have these chamber events, association events. They actually lost a lot of members because they couldn't keep up with the demand of continuing education, and chambers kind of fell off a little bit because the membership didn't really match what they were receiving. So I found that there have been an entire group of people now that have these smaller 30 to 60 members that meet every single week. So when they're going back out to network now, it's more of a social thing. It's like, I have never actually met you after this year, but I feel so close and so warm because I see you every week. You've liked my posts, you've shared some resources, you've been a really great member of this group. And so people are going out for more of a social capacity. The key component here is that just because networking has changed a little bit, the foundation hasn't, which means showing up and being consistent, whatever that might mean. It could be on a Zoom call, it could be in person, but following up is the number one thing. And following up could be in different aspects. It could be with an email, a phone call. It could be a like on a post. It could be just, saying, I'm so sorry I can't come to your meeting, but I'm thinking of you. Here's some things that I would love to share with you. And constantly, to the point, showing up for whoever that is. So networking has changed significantly in the ways that you go about it, but the foundation is the same. It's in the follow-up and the consistency. Otherwise, you're going to fall into obscurity, like William Dow's. Have you ever heard that story?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so you know who Paul Revere is?
Yes.
Okay, but pretty much people know who Paul Revere is. But William Dow's and Paul Revere did the exact same thing. One rode north, one rode south, but nobody knows who William Dow's is because Paul Revere knocked on the doors of information brokers. And so information brokers are people who are connected to different people that are like-minded, and he knew what doors to knock down. So that information was able to get out to the people that needed to hear it. Whereas William Dow's had no idea what doors to knock down. So if you're going to send a message to anybody about anything, make sure you're not going to fall into obscurity like William Dow's.
Awesome. Didn't see that one coming.
Yeah.
So that's fun. Okay, right on. Okay, so talking to the right people. Don't talk to everyone when you go to the events. Pick out five, pick out six, have meaningful conversations, connect in a real way, and then of course always follow up with them is kind of the point that you were making as well. Now that we are getting to go in person a little bit, that's
Mhm.
cool, that's good, but there's still a lot of online stuff taking place.
It's
What is
majority
what does the
online now.
networking environment look like online and like on LinkedIn versus Facebook versus Instagram? Is it content? Is it DMs and conversation? Where do we what's the best ways to network, Ashley?
The best ways to network are to have a ton of touch points in some capacity. So
Okay.
as you know, messaging people through DMs is one of the top ways of getting an actual response, but because people will reply to notifications more than they'll really open up an email, because they get lost into the ether of email. I love using LinkedIn, preferably for my business, because LinkedIn's algorithm is better for me and for what I do, because I educate on every single post. So my content
Mm,
derives from education, celebration, and collaboration. So those are the
mm,
top three C's that you would want to do on LinkedIn. I like using it because my stuff gets seen a little bit more affluently with the connections that I have. Because when I started building out my business, I would connect with them on LinkedIn more than I would on Instagram or Facebook. Doesn't mean that Instagram or Facebook aren't relevant. They absolutely are. There's plenty of data that you can grab from that. And also you can drill down into certain subgroups and then certain hashtags to follow that are all relevant. It's just how you distribute that content would be different. So the most important thing is in the follow-up. And on LinkedIn, again, it's celebrating, collaborating, and connecting. And then being able to message people right back, following up really fast. But DMs are definitely the top of the list when it comes to networking online. It has also grown and expanded your world of networking. So like during the pandemic, I've got contacts in Scotland and Ireland just because of the nature of the conversations I had online through different posts by following different hashtags. Now these people are connectors of mine and strategic partners, and we've done webinars together on both of our groups. So networking, again, does not have to be a tit for tat type thing. It could be a collaboration opportunity, which expands your network. So that's
Ash,
in a nutshell.
Ashley, you're famous. You're worldwide now.
I'm not famous. I'm trying really hard to be famous. I need an assistant to just hold my head up because it's so big. No,
Everyone watching, listening, she's kind of a big deal.
I'm really not. My husband.
So that's awesome. The three C's of networking, really, really valuable framework. I know we've talked about that one a couple times, so it's good for everyone to hear today. You're posting that content. It's creating more conversations. I think this is a good time to segue into how our paths crossed
Totally.
as it pertains to DMs and networking and
Yep.
yeah. So kick us off. What was your like for we'll play the first impression game. Ian
So
was
the
the one that connected us, mutual
which I
friend,
forgot.
networking.
We all forgot about. I did. I definitely forgot Ian connected us until he messaged me the other day. He's like, "Did you?" I'm glad that worked out. I'm like, "Oh my god, I completely forgot." So even somebody who does this for a living, I do have trash brain, 100%.
Did you
So
say trash brain?
trash brain. Trash brain. Yep.
That's a thing. Yeah.
Sometimes
I
it gets
call it
recycled. Sometimes we burn it. We're not really sure what day it's going to be.
okay, you got to feel it out. All right.
So
Go.
Ian introduced us, and you and I, just like we're doing right now, it was the professional chemistry was wonderful. It was very much, we were just spitballing. I think we talked for like an hour and a half. It was awesome. And so we hadn't
That sounds
chatted
great.
for a while after that, but I always kept, on track of what you guys were doing. And it was always so interesting because I'm in the tech scene. So I posted something about my course, and then you had commented, and I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't talked to Kirsten forever. And then we continued the conversation, then we jumped on a call, and that's when you showed me FlowChat. And
FlowChat.
let me tell you when I saw FlowChat, we record it and we're still mad about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
This is a disappointment for everyone.
it was a big fail. The conversation was just as dynamic as it is right now, except I have the number one thing that my clients and the people that I have the pleasure and the privilege to talk to is the follow-up and the responses. And so what FlowChat was able to do has been able to keep everything organized in reaching out and continuing to follow up to get the best outcome, which is to get on a call. So that way you can either collaborate, connect, or celebrate with this person, right? And so my biggest challenge was things were getting lost in my CRM. And what I also realized is that emails, I had a really good system with emails. However, it wasn't being opened as much, or people were missing them. So I used a follow-up sequence that I made myself, which is a 2 to 3 touch point, that I would just copy and paste, and it worked. The majority, like 85%, people would book a call on my calendar. And so what I found out was I am not great at sales. I'm not. Like, I've taken sales training, but I also wasn't trained well enough, in my opinion, to really overcome every obstacle. What FlowChat has been able to do has been able to provide me with the right value add in those messages, so that way I don't have to overthink, because I am an overthinker. I'm also Irish Catholic. We don't talk about money in this family. So it's helping me overcome those obstacles.
I didn't know that part, actually.
Yeah. So it's helping me overcome those obstacles, keeping me very organized. And the most important, like the difference between making a friend and networking is in the follow-up. And so this platform laid it out really, really well. And I think I said something, I think I was like this on the call, and I was like, Chris, how much?
Okay, so here's a, like, all that is 1,000% true, and then there's Chris's side of the story, which I've to date, I've done very, very, very conservatively over 700 of these calls this year alone, like one-on-one. And so I've seen a fair amount, and it's just doing the work, right? I've seen a fair amount of responses to people seeing FlowChat for the first time. Ashley still remains among the top 3. It is one. It might be. I think there's only 2 people that have actually like cursed in joy after seeing FlowChat, and yours is like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I need an online bleeper. I love bleeping for some reason. It's just really funny to me. Anyway, so she sees it. She's like, are you kidding me? I was like, oh, we were not recording this. That was like one of my favorite reactions. And it's because, we're focused on like solving a real problem. We know the real problems because we talk to too many damn people to not know what's really going on in the marketplace. And so, Ashley, it was really fun when our paths crossed, which we met through networking. Yep. And I think it's important for everyone to hear this. It wasn't the first time we met.
Yeah. Yeah.
Part of networking is letting your network grow and, digging your well before you need the water, another analogy that people have commonly said. And it was like, oh, opposed to like, oh, well, hey, like now things are a little bit different. Hey, like I'm looking for this. Hey, we need help here. Easy. Yeah. So it's just like networking is crazy powerful. It's actually life changing. You meet people you never thought you'd meet. You go places you never thought you'd go, and you get to experience things you never would otherwise experience. And so hopefully everyone listening, watching this is number one, sold on networking. Don't be afraid of it. Yeah. Ashley could lead you to the light. She's got the skills and expertise on it. Well, and yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, what happened next? We decided to be like, okay, wait, there's too many synergies right now.
And stay tuned for next episode. I'm just kidding. Open loop, everyone. What did happen next?
What happened next? I said, Chris, do you need help? Sure. And then we talked. And then a month later, I'm on the team. Yep. And it was and when people ask like, hey, Ash, how long have you been part of your team? I tell this story because as a user of the system primarily, and how I was already invested into it. And then the nice to have, which was joining the team, allowed me to marry what I already understand to be true. And then having a tool that facilitates those best practices was the only way that I would ever work for somebody else. Is if the foundation and the platform was facilitating the principles that I believe in, that I've worked so hard to achieve, would be a nice marriage. So this partnership and this team that we have building that we're building has been extraordinary because everyone is on the same page and we're all looking to do the same thing, which is to be of service to our members. And that's the foundation. That is the number one thing that you guys drill into our heads. Like, how can we provide the most value to our members first? And no other company does that I know of. And if they do, they don't test it. They don't ask. They don't ask for, hey, what are the certain problems that you're facing right now? How can we help you better? They just assume that this is what they want. And so when you are a part of an organization like that, or when you see the progress being built, you can only imagine, like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do in 6 months? This is so exciting. Like, we're going to be even better in 6 months because we're learning more about the needs and the wants and the true problems that come around, not just networking, but sales and overcoming obstacles and putting out your personal brand. And there's so many underlying things to it. So FlowChat is a significant way of maintaining those best practices.
Wow. Thank you, Ashley. Those are yeah, I appreciate those kind words. And yes, so we got to team up through networking, which I think is like a really cool part of the story and this topic for today for everyone to hear. A phrase that has served me well in life is, and this took me a long time to overcome, and there's still elements of it that I'm overcoming. But if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And I found myself, and like all entrepreneurs, business owners watching this, like networking something to help me break free of this. Like I would find myself, like I'm the like type A, like go win, love challenges, that kind of thing. And I would hit this certain level, and then I would just I'd burn out, I guess, out, and I'd go down, and then I'd come back up again, and I'd burn out, and then I come back up, and so there was this cycle, right? Then I couldn't freaking pass that damn point, and if you're wired, if you can't turn it off, that's going to drive you nuts. And if you want to go far, go together. And so it's learning, networking, and all like vendors, partnerships, employees, new prospects, and new customers, like all of it. Like everyone has a role, and if it's all service based, like it seems to work. Anyway, I know you're on the same page. That's why we're hanging out together and building this cool thing called FlowChat.
It's kind of exciting. And if you decide to kind of hang out with me or Chris, which you should absolutely do, best way to do that is to sign up for FlowChat, and then we hang out. So it's kind of like a nice, you kind of get double trouble. You get advice from me because, you get networking advice from me because I can't shut my mouth. I get very excited about learning about people. This is true. It's going to come up in team meetings. Hey, Ash, you want to not spend 2.5 hours with somebody getting onboarded? Thanks. Well, now I'm getting invited over for Thanksgiving, so I don't know what to tell you guys.
Yeah, I got a meal out of it, so I'm good. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, I think that's fun to highlight is one of the like hidden benefits that's not marketed or ever sold or presented with FlowChat is Ashley, and like, oh hey, you're trying to do this, like, oh, you should know da 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 da. And so there's connections in business and commerce happening even just within the FlowChat community. Like there's not you don't submit tickets, with questions and problems and issues. It's actually a Slack community. Everyone's communicating. A lot of members will jump on and help each other. Some members just exchange, like, buy each other's services. Yeah. FlowChat solves one problem. We advocate, like, we're a community of other business owners and entrepreneurs. Being an entrepreneur can be lonely, but it doesn't have to be. Solving one problem is more than enough to do well. So we definitely, oh yeah, you need help with that. Like, oh, you should go talk to, so-and-so in our FlowChat community, the FlowChat fam, and get connected. In fact, we're the FlowChat connectors. It's the identity. So you're hopefully like hearing this, networking and feeling, the ethos of FlowChat. You're getting a little bit more of an inside look talking with Ashley today.
I mean, it's going to be a great time. I mean, I think that the number one thing you talked about is community, and building a good community and a fruitful community and a nurturing community comes from the top down. So as much as you guys have been talking about how all of our members are a part of it, you got to understand too, to everybody that's watching, and Chris is going to hate me for saying this, but it comes from the top down. It comes from Sean and Chris and Bruno, who are all leaders in that space. And they built out a community and a safe place and a wonderfully passionate and energetic spot for members to come in, ask their questions, voice their concerns in an environment that will not let them fail. And so when you have that, it's not just a software. You have an entire cult ready to go. I think it's a cult.
Sure.
Yeah.
Culture.
But it is a genuine, like, look, at the end of the day, I don't like a lot of people. I like a certain amount of people. I'm very friendly to a lot of people. And so when you see everyone showing up consistently on our pipeline coaching calls every Thursday, it's something I've never seen before. And I'll tell this to anybody. I don't give a damn if you guys fire me tomorrow. I'm going to say the same thing. On Thursdays, I know on Thursdays, those calls, they remind me of networking calls, but they're so much more fruitful than the networking calls that I've been on in the last few months. So just know that it's something I've never seen before. It truly is something powerful. And so when you guys sign up for FlowChat and you do decide to do those packages that come with that coaching, it is worth it. It's a master class in sales, it's a master class in branding, and it's a master class in human behavior. And so think about that as you decide to buy a new tool. It's not just a new tool. You're getting a community, a membership, and an army.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's awesome. So I'm filtering bad jokes in my head. It's like, it's a tool built by tools. You're gonna love it, and it's like, wait, that's not good,
How do
Greg.
we
Don't
get
say
through
that.
team meetings? That's a serious question. I don't know how we get through team meetings without spiraling to something else.
Yes. Yeah, there's how to run team meetings with bingo cards. That's
Yeah.
for next episode. Ashley built a bingo card. Yeah, but there's a health laughter and enjoying the process, something to be said. We're very focused on result. We're growing and that's there, but life's short and enjoying the process is important. So if some of these things, it's not too rare we talk about FlowChat on these spotlights, but in this case, Ashley is like even people on a part of the FlowChat team they're entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So Ashley's been running. She has her own course. She has her own content that she's serving people at a very high level. She just shared like a really powerful testimonial. Someone left a voice message, and it was really cool that you shared that with us. So if this is the right environment and the right thing, you want to learn more about the tool FlowChat. Obviously, we didn't talk about that at all. It does manage all of your DMs on all platforms in one place. You can build targeted lead lists in seconds. It's like cheating. It's it's a sales tool built by sales professionals, and you can talk to a connection expert. In the light of networking today, you're going to talk, and who a connection expert is. Do you want to talk about that, Ashley?
Yeah, the connection experts are people on our team that know what the hell they're doing. They know how to identify the challenges that you're having. They know how to take you through the process and see if FlowChat's a right fit. I can tell you right now, as a user and not as a member and not as an employee of FlowChat, it is stupid. The numbers that I'm seeing, because I see the numbers that I'm seeing of what people are making using FlowChat is disgusting. It's crazy. And so it's disgusting. And it's stupid. It's stupid. And I say this because we are building something that is so extra. It's something I've never seen before. But when you do talk with a connection expert, you talk to somebody who is very well versed in FlowChat, but also really sees the needs that you have, the challenges that you're facing, and caters the conversation around what FlowChat could do to help you, and to actually
Yeah.
achieve all those goals.
Yeah, that's it. They're fellow business owners. They're running their own business. Then they're using FlowChat, and it's like, hey, here's how we use FlowChat in our business. Here's how you want to do it. It just kind of cuts through all the BS. It's just like, look, we're all trying to grow. Is it working? Is it not? Why, where, and how do I do it too? So it's pretty straightforward. You can tell kind of how I like to learn things. I'm like, dude, just let's talk about the results. How do we get there? I don't want to go fast. I don't want too much fluff. So that's a connection expert, just to be really clear, so you guys know upfront what you're signing up for. So hey, thanks for spending some time with us, Ashley. I always like to ask people at the end of Spotlight. Oh, do you have something?
No, I
You
don't.
got
I'm
something?
excited about this question. I don't know what it is.
I heard and feel. I'm essentially going to ask you why you do what you do, okay? But here's how I like to ask it. And I ask this at the end of each spotlight. To be an entrepreneur, athlete, musician, an artist to any degree, it's a very vulnerable place. You're putting yourself out there. There's ups and downs to it. It's not a comfortable path, and so it always fascinates me on why does somebody walk that path? And there's really good answers to it, but I'm curious today what your answer is.
I got tired of having somebody else depict my future. That was it. I was tired of getting proverbially punched in the face by employers who did not value my time. Again, I never got fired. It was mergers and acquisitions and budget cuts, things that were out of my control. I was not taking any sick days, any vacation time. I wasn't doing any of that, burning myself out for a company that I was just a number. And that happened for 18 years. At some point, I decided to fight for myself and just to see if I could do that. And I've had more opportunity in the last 4 years doing my own thing than I had in the last 18. So why I do what I do is because I tried everything else and I finally took a bet on myself.
Awesome. It's powerful. Well, I'm glad you did, because that means that we get to connect today and continue to work together. And everyone watching here, that's more of the background story of Ashley and why she is. So if you like all the things that she shared, don't hesitate, reach out to her, have a conversation. She has a very deep network, as you'd imagine. And everyone watching, thank you time with us here on the Spotlight. We're talking to real people that are solving real problems, and know that as a fellow business owner, entrepreneur, you're not alone. And there's other crazies like you, like me, like Ashley, that continue
Find
putting
your
themselves out
community
there.
find your community of weirdos. Honestly, that's the best thing to do. Just find a bunch of weirdos that are as crazy as you are, and you'll be fine.
Yes, you'll make it. All right, we'll see you guys back on the next Spotlight. Take care.